Hello and welcome back. That was quite a short break, but that's all right. That's all we needed because we are excited to dive headfirst into the second Winter Games 2021. And what best way to start off Winter Games than welcome back Grant? You've been a guest on Winter Games or our Bash events in the past, but also you're just a friend of the Game Gym, and we're so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Obviously, huge fans of Game Gym and Josh and all the awesome work you guys do with these bash events. I feel like Josh is slowly moving my time slot up earlier every year, trying to make me wake up at a more normal time. But I'm excited to be here, and yeah, really happy we can have this chat.
It's because we really want to have you, to kick off the event. But I can talk to Josh about,
Really
moving your
high
time slots back a
expectations we're
little bit.
setting here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live up to it, but we'll see what we can do.
Got it, got it. Well, obviously, all of us here at the Game Gym know who you are, but for folks who are tuning in and might not know who you are, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Grant Pranjape. I'm the vice president of esports here at the Washington Justice. We are one of the 20 Overwatch League teams. We represent the DMV region. DC, Virginia, and Maryland. Been here almost 3 years, and essentially head up the franchise. So we have an awesome competitive staff in Aaron and Supreme who report into me, as well as kind of the business operations folks who support the team. So uh, if there's something that happens with justice, chances are, we had something to do with it.
You have your hand in every bucket, basically.
Yeah, it's an interesting role, right? I think for me, it's about figuring out ways to spend time on a little bit of everything, right? I think people always ask me like, what is your typical day like? And I apologize. I think that was one of the questions that you guys had, but there is no such
I mean,
thing
it was
as
one, but if you don't want to answer it, that's a sensitive
no.
question
It's
because
it's
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 just
fun
so
because
busy.
there's no such thing as a typical day for me, right? I think and that's really one of the exciting things that I think people sometimes maybe don't realize about esports, where a lot of us who work in the industry, even though these teams are well backed, they're well financially supported, we have world class owners, they're still a startup, right? And a lot of these teams, we function like a startup, right? In terms of everybody wears a lot of hats, everybody pitches in to do everything, right? Whether it's moving chairs around at a watch party, to ordering hats last minute because we ran out of hats for the store or whatnot. Everybody figures out ways to make things happen. So for me, a typical day is really kind of waking up and seeing what is on fire, right? And figuring out how do we make the best out of a lot of these situations. So it's a lot of fun, and I think for people who want to get into the esports industry, having that mentality and being excited by the idea of waking up every morning and maybe not knowing what exactly is going to happen is kind of like a really critical it's a really critical attribute to have, right? You should be excited about kind of that uncertainty, and if you are, I think esports is a really great place for you to work.
Yeah, and I think for folks who generally like to do a couple different things, because some folks like to have a routine to their job, and some people are the opposite. So it sounds like esports is a great place for that second type of folks who are interested in doing a little bit of everything every day.
Yeah, I always feel bad, and because I always pick on accounting and accountants, and I mean no offense to this whatsoever. We have a fabulous finance team, and I've known many folks who are great accountants, but it is one of those professions that feels a little bit more regimented, right? You can kind of have a schedule where you wake up at 8:30. You're getting into the office around 9:15. You have your morning cup of coffee. You have these meetings on these days. You send these emails. You make these phone calls, and you know what your work product is kind of going to be day after day, right? For esports, I'm not saying that it's a complete wild west free for all, but you maybe don't have that exact structure, right? And I think a big piece that Arena and some of my other staff always remind me to talk about is you know we have a season that happens on weekends, right? So like just off the bat, folks are, your days include working on Saturday and Sunday, right? You're hosting events, you're running home stands, you're supporting the team as they compete and play their matches, right? And those matches sometimes start at 6 o'clock on a Saturday, right? Or 5 o'clock on a Saturday. So
Hey, so it's
um,
okay that we brought you in at noon on a Saturday.
yes, that's why noon on a Saturday is totally fine, right? So yeah, I think it's just those little small things that I think, when people look, especially for anybody who's maybe considering their first role um within esports, or transitioning to work in esports, it's just all those little things that I think if you go into it excited about it and with a positive kind of mindset about it, you'll be really successful in esports, right? You'll be much happier than if you kind of happen to find your way into a role in esports, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, I have to be there at 6 o'clock on a Saturday, like I don't want to, right? Like that's kind of a challenge that I think some folks might run into.
That's a very good disclaimer. So
Look,
you
we're
mentioned,
upfront about it.
yeah, you mentioned the season, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to ask you, since you said you wear multiple hats, what is sort of the most like unexpected hat that you had to wear? Like, have you had to fill in as a pro player before?
So I've never had to fill in as a pro player. I will say there was a point during our 2020 season where there was a league official who said, if you guys run with this roster and you don't sign another player, that myself or Aaron, we're gonna have to sign like a 3-day contract and fill in if somebody got sick. So that was about the closest I've ever come to having to fill in. Thankfully, it didn't happen, and obviously everything worked out. But no, so fortunately, I've never had to fill in as a pro player. I think the wildest, or maybe not the wildest, but the funniest that my team likes to give me a lot of grief for is, I've had to run the store a few times at our. So for folks who maybe don't know, we opened a new practice facility. It's down in Penn Quarter, and we opened it at the start of the 2021 season back in February, and it's open to the public. We have kind of regular retail hours. We hosted a number of watch parties there throughout the season, and there's a merchandise store as part of that, and typically somebody else from my team runs the store, but there's a couple of times where I had to man the till, and I'm not ashamed to. I never worked a retail job before, so I was that guy who was trying to figure out how to take people's orders and put it into our little iPad and the little Square system. But I learned pretty quickly. So, but it's little things like that, right? Thankfully that wasn't much of a fire, and that was more of a fun kind of experience, especially for my team, which got to watch that. But yeah, it's really, when you work in esports and or even just a startup and you're part of a small team, just be willing to, kind of jump in on whatever. I think that's really a core piece of kind of what you're signing up for.
Absolutely, absolutely. That makes sense. And what a fun little break too, probably for you.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly a lot less stressful than working on a P&L, or raising money or whatnot. It was different. It was certainly a new experience for me.
Good, good. Well, maybe after, handling people's orders, you understand the accounting people better a little bit too. You can bond a little bit better there. But let's talk about the season. So tell us about the past season. What were some of the highlights and your favorite parts of the past season?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna take the cop out answer, but going to Hawaii this year was really special, right? I think for us, you know, eh, coming off the 2020 season, I think the 2020 season was probably one of the most challenging experiences I've ever had in esports, or one of the most challenging seasons. We had two amazing homestands. COVID happened. We had to cancel the rest of our events. We kind of shifted to this online model. We were all kind of figuring it out together. We had a lot of roster changes with players retiring and going to Valor and whatnot. And coming into the 2021 season, I think we were all excited for just a little bit of normalcy. And I think with the caveat of how normal can things be with a global pandemic kind of happening. And so for us, we went into it with a roster that we were really excited about. We felt we kind of had assembled the roster with the goal of making playoffs, right? I think as at a high level, kind of my competitive philosophy for running a franchise is um, you know, you want to always make playoffs, because once you make playoffs, anything can happen, right? You don't necessarily need to spend, and break the bank to try to guarantee yourself a championship, because a lot of things can change, especially in
Mhm.
esports. And for us, we'd built a roster that we felt was right there, right on the cusp of making playoffs, and hopefully would make it. And then once we got in, could see what happened. And so for us, to make Hawaii, getting to take that trip with the players was a lot of fun. I think when you're kind of living out a season with a competitive esports team, there's not a lot of downtime, right? Even kind of the only downtime that happens in the Overwatch League is really when you're waiting on hero pools, or when there's going to be a new patch before your next match, right? And so even when there are like technically days off, the players are still practicing, right? So for
Mhm.
them getting to go to Hawaii, and kind of having some enforced downtime to relax, and you go to the beach, and I never forget, like we literally got there the first day, and they're like, "Can we go get Hawaiian t-shirts?" I was like, "Guys, like we just took like an 18-hour flight, like, or 12-hour flight, like you want to go shopping? Like, aren't you tired?" And they're like, "No, let's go shop." And I was like, "Okay." So that was fun, just getting to see our players have some fun, and obviously playoffs didn't go the way we wanted, but that part's okay. So yeah, I think that was really special. And then I think as a league, and as a team overall, I think we just kind of adjusting across the 2021 season to what the new normal was. I think for us, we were really excited that we could kind of progressively grow our watch parties at the facility. As COVID guidelines kind of relaxed, we were able to kind of scale the number of fans that we could have in attendance. I think the online and the new format that the league introduced were really exciting, right? People responded well to the idea of, you have some qualifying matches, you have a tournament, which is kind of the centerpiece, and then you kind of reset it, right? I think that was really positive to see, rather than kind of a season that's just 20 matches, and you hope for the best at the end, right? I think having those tournaments to kind of break up the season was refreshing, and a lot of folks really enjoyed that. So I think overall, Hawaii was definitely the highlight of the year. But I think a lot of kind of the wins we had along the way, in terms of how we kind of operated, were good. They were really exciting to see too.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think Hawaii would be the highlight of anybody's, you know, year.
I know, that's why I
Excuse
warned
me.
you it's a cop out answer.
No, no, I don't think it's a cop out answer. I think it's like good, it makes sense. So, on the flip side, what are some of the things that you think could have gone better? What do you think? What are some things you'd like to work on?
Yeah, I mean, so there's always things you can do better, right? And I think for us, we certainly learned a lot throughout the season. One, it's always nice to win more games. So I won't take I won't put that pressure on myself, but I'll put that pressure on Aaron and Supreme, right? But no, I
Sorry,
think
I'm
in
like coughing, but you're not making me cry. I
oh
promise.
no, it's okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, wow, I didn't know it was quite so emotional about it,
So
improving
emotional.
over the course of the um no, but yeah, I think for us as a franchise, right, it was really just learning, um what we could do without kind of those homestand events, being kind of the centerpiece of the year, right? I think it was, how do you keep fans interested? How do you make them feel like we are the DMV's team, right? Even though, yes, the team's based here, yes, there's a facility here, but you still can't kind of get that large tournament experience, because the team's going to Hawaii, right, to play each of the
Yeah.
tournaments, or whatnot. So I think for us, we and looking toward 2022, we're thinking about, are there ways to do, like, yes, the watch parties are great, but are there ways to do other events? Maybe they're at different locations. Obviously all of this is pending COVID and new variants and everything, but it's how do we kind of double down on engaging what we know is a really passionate kind of local fan base here in the area, and really making them feel kind of like a part of the Justice family, even when we can't kind of gather together in terms of a large, a large scale event.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think engagement is really important because on the business side of things, obviously, businesses always want to engage with the audience, but for fans, that's equally important. People who enjoy a game, people who enjoy a pro player, they want to be a part of that. So I do hope that you all come up with some,
Well, and that
additional events
was,
that folks can engage in.
yeah, and that was like, I mean, that was part of what was so tough. Even though we were having success with the watch parties, having 30 or 50 folks there was amazing. But when you would see their excitement about, fans' excitement about getting something signed by their favorite player, by the whole team, we couldn't do photos even because we
Mm.
didn't want folks close to the players. But just seeing their excitement about getting something signed, you just want to replicate that for everyone, right? And I think I remember at our first two homestands, we had hundreds of people who would go through a VIP kind of meet and greet experience with not only our team but all the visiting teams, right? And so being able to look, we're obviously not going to be able to replicate that experience without that kind of large scale event, but finding ways, even no matter how small, to kind of still allow Overwatch and Justice fans to stay kind of connected is certainly something we want to do for 2022.
That sounds great. Yeah, keep us posted. Obviously
Yeah, if
the
anyone has any ideas, drop it in the chat. I mean, we've done some fun things. I think a lot of giveaways, right, of signed merch, and we try to make it as fair for everyone as possible. We include international folks in those and whatnot. So yeah, but open to ideas.
sounds good. Sounds good. I think I might have some, so I'll message you afterwards. But tell us a little bit about Overwatch 2. Like what I have a lot of questions about it, but for people just who don't know, what is Overwatch 2? Is it literally a second game? Is it going to interact with the original Overwatch?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the $1 billion question that we're all kind of waiting on. And I always feel bad because people expect myself or our team, they're like, you guys are holding out on us, right? Like you have to know, and we
And you're
really
like, no,
don't,
I
right?
also
Like
don't know.
we're just a team in the league. We really don't know any more than you're than any of you guys about what's been shared around Overwatch 2 and how it's going to interact with the league and whatnot. So I think what's been shared so far, previously, I think at BlizzCon, maybe 2019, it was shared, right, that Overwatch 2 would have a PvE element to it. There was some amount of conversation around everything that you've kind of captured or earned in Overwatch 1 would transfer over to Overwatch 2. There'd be some sort of like cross multiplayer experience, right? How all that works, I don't know. I haven't heard anything new, so if anybody hears anything, please drop me a tweet or something.
Please message Grant right away.
Yeah,
No,
please.
it's
But
interesting because you would think that at least the teams would be allowed to know more because you all have to adjust. Like you have to maybe change the way that you practice, you know what I mean, and your strategies and things like that. So that's going to be a steep learning curve when the information comes out.
yeah, so I think this is so. There's a couple of points that I'll touch on for that. So it was shared, and I think publicly, right, that the league will start on a version of Overwatch 2. What that looks like, I don't know. Whether that'll be available to the public, I don't know. Whether it's an open beta, none of us know what that'll look like. But I think for a lot of us, that was fairly reassuring, right? I think we as a league, and I think us as a team, everybody understands that to get the league and viewership and engagement and excitement to the level that we all need to have successful businesses. Overwatch 2 needs to be kind of the spark that lights that, right? It needs to be a great game. It needs to be exciting. There needs to be new heroes or characters. There needs to be new maps. Like all of that. I think everyone's it's no secret. So the fact that the league will start on a version of Overwatch 2 is very very encouraging for all of us. Now, looking at the competitive piece of our business, and I'm sure if you ask Aaron or Supreme, they will tell you, it is incredibly challenging building a roster for a game that you've never played, right? So, being one of the teams that got to go to Hawaii, our players were fortunate enough to, play test. I think it was 8 hours of Overwatch 2. We weren't allowed in the room. They kicked me out. They kicked Aaron out. There was no staff in the room. There were no phones, and obviously they did eventually release release those matches on YouTube and whatnot. But it's not a lot to go off of, right? And so I don't want to speak for Aaron and our competitive staff, but I think when you're looking at building a roster for a game that's you've never played and you don't know much about, I personally think it's really important to find players who love the IP and want to grind, right? Like and if you look at our roster, we have signed a number of rookie/younger players who we think, disproportionately love Overwatch as an IP and love the type of game that it is and want to play a ton of it, right? Because, if you look at a world where maybe there's, access, maybe professional teams get access to the Overwatch 2 build in February, you basically have 2 months to learn the game and to be as good as you can at it, right? And so I think that was a lot of what went into kind of our thinking around signing players and finding kind of rookie up and coming talent that really loves the game, wants to play a bunch of it, learn all the ins and outs quickly, just knowing that we don't know a lot about it. So certainly a challenge, but I think at the end of the day, we all kind of are aligned that Overwatch, the league starting on Overwatch 2 or a build of it is really important.
And at least everyone will be on the same playing field. It's going to be new
Also
to
true.
every single player. So
Yes, I mean, look, and that's look, everyone, and this is, I think, a really important piece that sometimes gets lost. Just when you look at social media and Reddit and whatnot. Yes, every team wants to win. We are all competitive. We all want our teams to succeed. We all want them to win the champion, win the championship at the end of the day, and only one team can do that, right? But outside of that, we are all a league, right? And we all are working together to, fix, issues, create best practices, and create, an overall experience for fans that is, that is respectable, right? And that is, something that people want to be a part of, right? And so, um, you know, teams at the end of the day, we all compete and we all want to win. But I think there's a lot of collaboration that happens, which ultimately goes into kind of creating a really special product.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we just have a couple of minutes left. And I saved the best question for last,
Okay.
which is we hear that you got a puppy. So is there a puppy cam we can take a
There,
look at? Or
so no, there's not a puppy cam. He's actually going on a walk right now. We have a Christmas party later, so my girlfriend is desperately trying to tire him out before we leave.
it's a
But
good
yes,
plan.
we were fortunate enough to get Winston in February of 2021. So he's coming up on a year. I know a lot of folks kind of ask, is he named after the Overwatch character Winston? And yes, it was part of it. So he, my girlfriend and I watched a bunch of New Girl. There's a character that we enjoyed in that show called Winston, and then also the Overwatch character. So we each had each had a hand in naming him Winston. So, but he's wonderful.
Okay.
Everyone should get a dog
Or a cat. But
or a
yes,
cat.
what I like to hear about the story is that you got him this year, at the beginning of this year. And what happened is a lot of people got pets in 2020 during the lockdown. And what happened this year is people started going back to work. A lot of pets got abandoned or returned, or just some horrible things happening. So for folks to step up and start adopting pets now, to make sure that those pets that were abandoned get rehomed is amazing. So I totally agree that everyone should get a dog or a cat, or preferably multiple animals. But we're very excited. Hopefully you can share a photo of Winston with us, maybe throw it on Twitter and tag Game Jam or something
Well,
so that we can take a look at it
she
later.
has plenty of photos. I'm sure we can find one. And yeah, and
Okay.
if you come to a Justice watch party, in 2022, I have a feeling he'll be making a few guest appearances.
Okay. Okay, good. Make sure to make more hats so that he can wear one. All right. So any just, parting words about either Overwatch, Overwatch 2, or just, the league, anything that you think would be interesting to share with fans or with our viewers at this point?
Wow, that's a open-ended
Open-ended question.
question.
Anything. This is
No,
you can
no. So
plug the league's account, how do we
no,
follow the league.
no. The league gets enough coverage. So follow the Justice best team in Owl. No, in all seriousness. First off, thanks for having me. Thank you, Game Jam. This bash is awesome, and obviously goes to supporting a really important cause. So for anyone watching, please, if you can, help out the Children's Network through Extra Life for us and for a league and for Owl. Just I think just enjoy your holidays, right? I think for us and for a lot of folks in esports, December, January kind of really is some of the only downtime a lot of teams and esports professionals get. So if your favorite team goes a little dark for a little while, don't take it personally. Their social person might finally get their first vacation in a year. So yeah, and I think for a lot of us, we're just excited about learning more with all of you in hopefully the coming months, leading to a 2022 season. That's awesome, right? And whether that means events, whether that means online, we don't know. And I think we're all going to navigate kind of I'm gonna Omicron. I don't even know how to say it, and variants and everything together. But at the end of the day, just know there's a lot of passionate, hardworking people trying to make a really great product called the Overwatch League together. So we hope you'll kind of ride with us on that journey in the new year.
Absolutely. And for folks who want to join you on that journey, follow along, find out when the watch parties are happening, find out where the watch parties are happening. Where can they keep in touch with the Washington Justice or with you or with the events?
Yes. So at Wash Justice on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, I think also YouTube. We also have a great TikTok. Shout out Jason. He's done an amazing job with that. So feel free to follow us across social. If you for some reason want to follow me, I'm Kieran Thill, KEIRANTHIL on everything. It's a long story we can talk about on next bash. So, but yeah, definitely drop us a follow. We'll hopefully have a bunch of watch parties, and would love to see you guys there in the new year.
Well, that's awesome. Grant, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for helping me kick off the Winter Games. And for everyone watching, thank you for joining us. We will take a very quick break and we will be back with folks from OTN Media.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.